Sound clap. Don't forget your sound clap.
I'll do that right now. All right, we're recording, Jay. Episode 19.
I don't know how you keep track. I always lose track.
I have to look right before we start.
Do you? Yeah, I'm always mixed up.
Well, snow season's
Dude,
here.
I have brought the curse down upon our whole company. Last episode was like the curse on me. Remember hauling hay and having to like light the pitchforks and torches and bring the villagers out? It's just gone just a progressive step further and worse. I've had since Monday. Today is what day? Thursday? On Monday, I had a trucker park in the Midwest in Valentine, Nebraska at 8 p.m. He's still stuck there. Since 8 p.m. Monday, he's been sitting in this truck stop. Roads are closed in every direction. 60 mile an hour winds, a couple feet of snow. He's not real happy to be a cow hauler at the moment.
I've been entertained with your webcam updates for Nebraska.
That's right. Oh, you saw that? Yeah. So Nebraska is really good at. Nebraska has so many weather cameras up. Like every 15, 20 miles on every highway in the state, there's a camera that takes a couple still shots so that you can see the road condition. And on Highway 2, that we travel a lot, we've been watching the cameras real hard. You know, when's the road going to open? And some poor freight truck out there on Highway 2 in western Nebraska tipped over, wrecked right in front of the camera. So it's just been sitting there for days. Every time you check the camera, that truck's still just
laying on its side.
Just like an old boneyard, yeah.
Hey, we want to get rolling with this episode.
Yep.
We've got some good stuff.
Yep.
I do want to bring up one thing with you.
What's that?
You were here Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And your family was here. Your daughter had a meltdown.
Lash did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware of this meltdown she had.
No.
My wife told me about that.
No. What was it?
So my wife said, hey, when Jackson comes today, here's a pair of socks he needs to take home for Lash. So when you guys were here last time, Lash lost her socks. And it was a catastrophic meltdown.
From a sock? A pair of socks?
A pair of socks. And I thought, that's...
Seems dramatic.
That's an ill-adjusted child.
Right?
But then, as the story continued, she was having a problem because she said she only has 3 pairs of socks.
That's all.
And she lost one, so she said, now I've only got 2 pairs of socks.
That's what she was so distraught.
You know those things come in like 6 or 12 packs, don't you?
I'm sorry.
You can,
oh, man.
You cannot. You can pull the trigger.
Okay.
You can pull the trigger on a 6-pack of the socks instead of keeping your kids at 3
just
for the
bare
year.
minimum. I see my strategy with that, Luke, is if we only have 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, it keeps Haley moving the laundry through, so we don't sit on laundry for very long. Oh goodness, that's funny. Poor Lash.
I did say, when my wife told me this, I said, "There's no way. She's only got 3 pairs of socks." So, is that true?
It's not true because she couldn't find socks yesterday to come to the shop and help me clean the truck. And she informed me she had 6 pairs of socks, and she couldn't find them, any of them.
Do you make...
So somebody picked up a 3-pack somewhere along the way.
So your Instagram this week, you had your 2 children detail your semi.
Yeah, they kind of wanted... I bought some new detailing supplies, a little Black Friday sale from Chemex, and so I bought some new brushes and some stuff, and they really, really wanted to try them out. So
you on Instagram, you filmed yourself paying them. 2 of them... $6 to split.
Yeah.
So I can see why they only have 3 pairs of socks.
Times are tough.
All right.
Oh, man. So, you guys, we have a little treat for you today. A treat from the East. A treat coming from the far East. Good things come from the East. And today, you're gonna get to hear from 2 of the greatest things that have ever been produced from the East. That is Taylor Moyer, crew chief for NASCAR. And then he's bringing along with him his main man. He's told me time and time again, this guy is the hardest working dude on his crew. Main man, number 1, can do it all. Goes by Trucker Chris, last name Waddell, not to be confused with Waddell. Chris Waddell. You guys, welcome in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hold on, I have to add something. You gave your two children a $5 bill and a $1 bill to split.
Yeah.
Not 6 ones, but a 5 and a 1. Asked them to split it.
You caught that?
So, I mean,
You caught that.
Oh, yeah.
You saw that. So
I pick up on the small thing.
So the plan was they were supposed to take the 5 and the 1 to Freddie, the oldest brother, who has plenty of ones, and kind of cash in and divvy. But I don't know how that all turned out in the end. So,
well, when we have these long winter days where the kids can't do a lot outside, it gives them a good half a day trying to figure out how to split it.
It's true.
Give them a 5 and 1 and tell them to figure it out.
Oh, I feel like it's a riddle. So, Taylor, T-Dog. Taylor and I go back a little bit. We've become fast friends. I'm a little nervous, though. I'm a little nervous to introduce you to Luke because I feel like you're going to leave me for Luke. I have that feeling.
I don't know. So on the cattle side, yeah, Luke and I, we might be long lost brothers, except I can't grow the facial hair, so maybe like half brothers. But I have a terrible addiction to old, cool, nostalgic trucks, and I really think actually that's how I came across you. I've got a fleet of Fords.
Dude,
to my new wife's chagrin, I'm trying to buy one of your cab overs. Me and Dr. Chris been working on that, but yeah, I'd say I'm maybe the long lost little brother of you two.
I like it. Oh, we'll take it. We'll take it. So this random day, I open my Instagram up, kind of catching up on things and responding to messages, and I get this DM from a Taylor Moyer, and he's like, "Dude, I don't know how I didn't know about you any sooner than this, but I've been looking through your stuff, and we're like long lost brothers." And I'm like, yeah, well, that's sweet. Appreciate it. I think you were commenting on the cab over Pete, and I was flattered. I was like, right on. And then you sent me a picture. You said, I think you said, I wish that our race company would put a cab over in front of our race trailer. And you sent me a picture. And I don't think you were even trying to flex or nothing, but you sent me a picture of the race trailer hooked up to like a 389 Peterbilt.
Yep.
And I looked at it, and I couldn't tell quite what it was. And I was like, oh, here's a guy trying to like show his power and be like, hey, I've got a race trailer, And I'm like, oh, cool. So like, what circuit do you race in? And I get the reply, and he's like, NASCAR. And I was like, oh, yes, sir. Thank you so much for your kind words towards my equipment. And that's when I realized, I was like, okay, he's actually like, this ain't like Billy Bob taking over the dirt track on the weekend. This is NASCAR.
Well, I'm gonna have to tell you that my NASCAR experience is that Will Ferrell movie, the Ricky Bobby movie.
Yep, Talladega. Yeah.
But a couple years ago, we started. My wife and I started watching on Netflix that NASCAR documentary, Drive to Survive, where it just it follows you guys around, and that really got me into it. Yeah, seemed like some cool guys. Actually, have you ever met Danny Ricciardo?
That's F1, but no, I haven't. No. I lied. He came to Phoenix one time. Yeah,
so that's that racing though, correct?
No, they go both directions. We only turn left. We run some road courses.
Yeah.
Luke, I think this is NASCAR, not F1. They're very different.
I thought that NASCAR was like the AAA for F1. It's all the same thing, isn't it?
Like that NASCAR drivers graduate into F1? Mm-hmm. Taylor, would you care to explain maybe some of the...
Yeah, so no, he's
I'm playing with you guys. I'm playing with you. I know the difference.
All right. No, that would be the easiest way to explain it. Is F1 would be the wine and cheese series, and we would be the PBR and spam series, right?
Yeah, totally.
That's a good one.
Those guys seem pretty fancy on there, that's for sure.
Oh, there's something. But no, some of those guys have come and hung out, and Ricardo is actually one I have met at Phoenix. And he came to the racetrack wearing a Dale Senior. Dale Jr. is our boss and owns this whole race team. And he came to the track in a Dale Senior T-shirt, throwback. He loved it. He just wanted to fit in and get in and be one of the guys, and he hung out for the weekend.
Huh.
That's cool, man. So let's see. I found that getting to know you, I've learned a lot of things about NASCAR, a lot of things I didn't know. Would you mind kind of going through and breaking down the flow of what you guys are doing out there as far as the different series and kind of what's what level? And I think there's a lot to be had.
Yeah, so NASCAR has 3 main series. They have their Cup Series, which the easiest way for me to explain this to people is if they can equate it to football. So Cup Series would be like professional football. They run on Sundays. Xfinity Series, the series that we race in, is like college football. We race on Saturdays. And there's a Truck Series that runs Friday night, and that's kind of like your high school. And generally, race car drivers progress up through the series like that, and kind of generally as do crew guys as well. The Truck Series runs shorter races and less races in a year. Xfinity Series runs 32 to 33 races a year.
Yep.
A little bit shorter in the Cup Series. Those boys run 39 races a year. And I'm pretty sure this still holds true that the NASCAR season is the longest season in professional sports. We basically started Valentine's Day and go to Thanksgiving. We run coast to coast. We have a West Coast swing. And we run a couple different types of tracks. The way the teams are laid out is kind of similar to a football team as well. You have a team owner, which Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be our team owner. Our team's called Junior Motorsports.
So he's your boss man. He's like your direct boss man.
Yep. I mean, there's some layers between him and I, but he is the owner. His sister is actually more like my boss woman, Miss Kelly. She's a G. She's
hardcore.
Yeah, she's a cool woman.
Yeah, she's cool.
I've heard it said that she was better than Dale at a young age in a race car, but she just quit earlier. So then you have each team, each car number. So we're the car number 8. Each team has a crew chief. You can kind of equate the crew chief to maybe the head football coach. Then each team has a head race engineer. I kind of equate him to the offensive coordinator. He's in charge of the other engineers. So some teams have multiple engineers, as we do. We have 2 engineers. And then you have a car chief, which I kind of equate to the defensive coordinator. And he's in charge of all your mechanics, which would kind of be like your defensive players. They're the heart and soul of your team. They don't get enough glory by any means. And then on race day, we have a crew that comes in, which is our pit crew. And they're kind of like your skilled position players. They're your running backs and your wide receivers. They get all the glory. And then you have your driver, which is kind of like your quarterback, right? He's going to get the most glory. He really carries the team on his shoulders. He's the name of it all. But there's a big support system for him. So Chris here to my left, he would be our
water. I guess would be the water boy.
no. He's our hauler driver, and he's part of the team at the track. He's also, which is most important to me, he's also our cook. And then during the pit stops, he hands in a full 110-pound can of gas to our gas man. And, I mean...
2 of them, actually.
Yeah, 2.
Sometimes, yeah.
2 in 11 seconds we hand in. So, yeah. I mean,
one on each shoulder?
No, I'm too old.
But our general flow for the week is we're coming in and we're trying to get, in general, when the tracks are within, I don't know, say 1 day's drive or 11 hours.
What's that?
If we leave on Wednesday nights. Generally, if the tracks are within 11 hours.
Yeah. We're Thursday morning, yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to get our car loaded up for Chris by Wednesday night so he can leave Thursday morning. So then he drives to the track. We fly. We generally take Thursdays off as our travel day. Friday morning, jump on our plane, fly to the track, meet Chris there, practice and qualify on Friday, race on Saturday. And then as soon as the race is over, we get to get back on an airplane. Well, Chris takes off his fire suit and drives back, jumps back in the truck, hauls back. So,
Chris, we're going to talk more to you in a little bit about some of this stuff. But isn't that so typical of like truck drivers? It's like I always get frustrated with this. A great example would be Thanksgiving week. Like all the cattle sale barns have auctions, right? Monday, Tuesday, and there's a sale that's always the day before Thanksgiving. And you're like, hey, are you guys going to have a sale before Thanksgiving or not? And they're like, well, yeah, of course we are. And no one ever cares about the truck drivers. Nobody thinks about, hey, the truck drivers have to load up all the cattle from your pre-Thanksgiving sale and haul them, that night and be in a truck stop on Thanksgiving. So I've always I understand your pain, Chris, because it's that way in the cattle world. They're like, yeah, get on your planes. Yeah, have fun. Enjoy your in-flight snack.
See you in 30 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then time you get there, they're like, "Are you ready for the next one?" You're like, "Whatever."
Exactly right.
Quick question for you, Taylor. Is it kind of? There's a lot of racetracks on the East Coast, correct?
Yeah. There's a lot on the East Coast.
Is the bulk of the racing done on the East Coast and then the West Coast, and not a lot in between?
So they've tried to diversify and spread out our market. NASCAR has. We race Portland, Oregon. That's the track I was at before I came and saw you this summer. Sonoma, which is California. Phoenix, Los Angeles twice. Kansas, Texas, Iowa. Okay. Yeah, we're pretty spread out now. They've tried hard to diversify, yeah.
Yeah. That's when I knew that you were a keeper, was when you were wanting to plan this Montana, kind of this pre-honeymoon deal. And Taylor's like, I'm racing in Portland, and then I'm going to jump in the semi with Chris, and he's going to drop me off in Billings, Montana, and I'm going to go to a cattle school to learn some cattle marketing techniques. And I'm like, you are a keeper, my boy.
Yeah, the stars align on that one. I've been trying to go to Ranching for Profit for a couple of years, but so NASCAR dictates my schedule, and I've worked in NASCAR on a traveling team since 2014. I've worked professionally in it since 2008, but I've traveled full time since 14. So I already know next year when my days off are. So I've just been waiting for a weekend off to align with one of those ranching schools, and it just so happened that we raced Portland, Oregon, the weekend before, and then I like looked up the mileage and everything, and I went to Chris. I'm like, look, it's only 2 hours different home for you. I'll make it worth your while if we'll take the northern route, and you just kick me out in Billings. And he literally did, because we couldn't even get the truck in the hotel. So they were just throwing my bags at me, and I jumped out on the side of the road. And then I went to ranching school for a week, and then flew my fiance at the time, wife now, in. And the first stop on the trip was your homestead, right? So
that's right. You came right to the ranch. Yeah. So
wait, where are you guys based out of?
Oh, we're north of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I'd say all the teams, 97% of the teams are right here within a couple miles.
And so Kristen, you would truck from Charlotte to Portland, then hauling a car.
Yeah, 2 of them most of the time.
Okay.
What do the other crew chiefs do on their weekends off? I take it they're not into ranching for profit.
I don't know, because I've always been the odd duck, as they would say. Spend time on the lakes. We got good lakes, or go to the beach. We got North Carolina is a cool state. You can surf and snowboard in the same day. There's snow in the mountains right now, and you could be surfing. So you can be 4 hours to Atlanta, Savannah, Charleston, Richmond, Virginia. So you can do a lot of stuff here close.
That's wild.
Good mountains.
You said you jumped in 08 professionally. That's when you first got involved with NASCAR?
Well, my goal from about 8th grade was to be involved in NASCAR. The day after I graduated high school, I drove my truck from Vermont to here and have never looked back. Actually, I parked it here. I flew to Colorado, worked on a ranch for a summer, came back the day before I started class, and worked on small teams. It was just in 08, I guess in 09 officially is when I started at Hendrick Motorsports, which is one of the biggest cup teams. So that's when I started working for a big NASCAR team.
Okay.
How many NASCAR teams are there?
Oh man, that fluctuates year to year.
Yeah.
There's kind of like your big six in each series, or big six in the main series, and then a lot of smaller teams. In our series, there's probably 5 bigger teams, but like our team has 4 different cars, so we run 4 different car numbers out of this shop. There's 4 sets of teams within this shop that Dale owns all of them. But we start 38 cars in our series, I think. I don't know. I should know that. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, it varies from each race.
Yeah.
And why
So
are
that-
they? Why would you think most of them are based out of Charlotte? What's the draw to being located there?
I kind of just think that's where the sport started, literally in Chris's backyard, and the sport was created on rum and moonshine from the cops. So it started here, and it's such a specialized skill set. This is where the fabricators are. This is where the distributors of the parts are. This is where the manufacturers of things we buy are, and this is just where everybody comes. Like, pretty much, if you run and work on a NASCAR team, you live in Charlotte. If you work on an IndyCar team, you work in Indianapolis. Same with most of the drag racing teams are in Indianapolis. It seems like each type of racing kind of ends up being centrally located, and it's probably just for logistics of parts and people and stuff.
That makes sense. How old are you, Taylor?
I'm 34.
34. Okay. So you're a young crew chief. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. I'm pretty sure I was named crew chief at 30, and I think at the time I was the youngest, one of the youngest in this series.
So here's what I've always wondered, and I've noticed this in the NFL. As I start to see, head coaches and stuff that are my age, I wonder, because I'm like, while I was off, learning to auctioneer and driving trucks, they were doing, like, what? How do you become, how did Sean McVay become an NFL coach, a head coach at such a young age, or, these different younger coaches? So in your realm with becoming a crew chief at age 30, if someone's wondering what are you doing that gets you to that? I mean, I know you have a great work ethic, but like beyond that, how do you put yourself in a spot to be on that track?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's just timing and sheer determination not to quit some days, I think. But I started growing up. We had a cattle farm, and my best friend raced a dirt car, and I worked on it all the time. And I knew I had a skill for liking to solve problems, right? Like Legos and everything. Or just I had a lot of go-karts and snowmobiles and four-wheelers on the farm, and somebody guided me to be like, you can go be an engineer and work on race cars, right? And I was like, oh, that sounds way better than being an engineer. Or at the time, I didn't really want to farm. So I went specifically to engineering school in this area to get an engineering degree. But the reason I chose this area over going to some of the other bigger colleges I got into is I knew I was gonna work pretty much full time through college to put myself through. So I figured it'd be a lot better working on a team while I was in college. So that's what I did. The only skill I really had was some sheet metal fabrication. So I started the first 2 years, I was a fabricator, building cars, putting them back together. With that, I was pretty athletic. So I got on a pit crew and I was changing tires. And that's actually how I got in at Hendrick Motorsports, was on a pit crew tryout. And then I was just a parts kid, like the bottom of the rung job. Like the floor sweeper and the parts kid are about as low as it gets at Hendrick when I first got hired. And I was doing pit crew stuff on the weekends and going to college. And I just worked my way through. I went parts kid to chassis shop engineer, which was when I was helping build the chassis and doing some engineering work, to parts designer, to test engineer, to race engineer, which is, like I equated race engineer to like offensive coordinator. You're the crew chief's right-hand man. You're working on setups to make the cars go faster. So I did that for 4 years at Hendrick, and then it was their choice to promote me up to crew chief here. So I guess I didn't mention that, but Junior Motorsports is kind of like a AAA team for Hendrick Motorsports. We are affiliated together. We're not exactly the same company, but we share a lot of talent. So this was kind of like them sending me here to train me to maybe become a cup crew chief someday.
Okay.
But that's how it all happened. And a lot of that's just timing of when jobs open up, and you got to be eager enough to raise your hand and slide into them. And that's how I met Chris.
So Chris, let's kick to you for a minute now.
Hold on. I got a couple questions before I do that.
Yeah.
I apologize for bringing F1 back into this. That documentary on Netflix, it seems a little bit behind the scenes look at what's happening during the race, and they have the crew chiefs as well. I didn't realize how much is coaching the right word? Coaching of the driver during the race, that the crew chiefs do. Is that something that you do? That you're on the headset with drivers coaching them, or are you just or what's involved during a race as a crew chief, I guess is what I'm asking.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. During the race, you are, you're kind of, I like to tell people you're kind of playing chess backwards against 40 other people. You're the race strategist, which is what you see a lot in F1. And you're managing the driver, which in our series, we have a lot of younger drivers. So you're very much coaching, and you're working with a spotter who's a guy that's up on top of the roof of the grandstands. That's actually speaking to the driver every lap, since they don't have a lot of visibility in the cars. So you are coaching, you're managing your pit crew, which is the guys down on the ground with you that are going to jump over the wall and change your tires. But yeah, you're managing your fuel mileage, your race strategy. You're trying to manage the race. So when I say backwards, you're not only trying to manage your car, you're trying to predict your strategy against what other guys are going to do. And then you just that's what I've got a great team around me that everybody has a role in helping me manage all that. But
how do you come in, or how do you I'm trying to think out of this, what's the balance between crew chief wisdom and talent on the ground? Of course, we always go back to sports teams because it's sports. It's all sports. But sometimes you'll see a coach on a professional team that has all the talent in the world, and you're just like, how are you not making things happen with all this talent that you have in the room? And then some other coaches you see like, this guy has nothing, and somehow this team is winning. If that makes sense, what do you find the balance to be there?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in I should be the dumbest guy on my team if I'm doing my job right. I should attract the best talent. So that's what I try to do, is treat people right, manage people in a way that I would want to be managed. And, Chris is a much better truck driver than I am. I don't need to tell him how to do his job. I want to attract people that are the best at their jobs. And then my goal is to put those people together and get even more out of them, accomplish more as a group than we would as individuals. And that's what we do. That's what I try to do. There's guys that try to rule with an iron fist. That doesn't work for me. I'm only like a 5'7" pipsqueak. Chris would just pound me in the ground if I told him how to do his job. So I just try to manage with respect, and I don't know, it works out, I guess.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Chris, be honest though, did Taylor try to commandeer the ship, so to speak, from Portland to Billings, or did he kind of sit back in the bunk and just...
It was actually like a kid in a candy store, actually. I let him have the jump seat, so I sat in the back. And my co-driver, he started out driving. So anything over 10, 11 hours, they give us a co-driver.
Uh-huh.
So, we always got, at West Coast, we always got teams going out.
Yeah.
So he was he was in the passenger seat just looking around like a kid. So I think he had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, so let me go... one last thing on the coaching front. So coaches are on the hook, crew chiefs are on the hook, because I remember one time, Taylor, I had messaged you, and I can't remember what was going on, but you were in the midst of a suspension, I believe.
Yeah, I got suspended.
You got suspended.
Oh man,
what was going on there again?
So you know how you like to work in the gray area of the DOT?
Uh-huh. Always. I live there.
Yeah, so a lot of times the speed in your race car is in the gray area of the rule book. It's where the rules haven't been written yet. Now this suspension had nothing to do with that. We actually we were leading the race at Dover and had a snafu on a pit stop, and the car left the pit box without lug nuts on it. So the tire didn't come off till it was on the track, which is a major penalty because it's a safety concern. So
right.
Yeah, I had to sit out for a couple weeks, which everybody thinks is vacation, but you just work twice as hard. You're still orchestrating everything. You're just behind the scenes. So
yeah, if I remember right, you chartered a blimp or something to kind of go over the racetrack because you weren't allowed technically on the premises or something.
It was actually a hot air balloon, but I don't like
that's right.
I had Chris had a hot dog slingshot. He'd sling them up to me so I could still eat. Oh no.
Oh goodness, that's funny. I kind of feel that pain a little bit too, because as the owner of a trucking outfit, if somebody's out there and gets a violation, it doesn't actually affect them driving the truck, but it goes on your, as the company boss man, you're like, that's on me, even though maybe it's not on you. You got to take the fall.
Yep.
Let's see. So Chris,
Yeah.
Similarly, I've got to ask you. I've traveled the United States back and forth and all over and up and down and everything else, and I've always wondered when I pass. A lot of times you'll pass like trucks hauling music, for a musician, or like a tour bus, hauling a band around that's traveling. Here you are driving for NASCARs, where you've ended up hauling NASCARs around, which is really neat in the trucking realm. That's cool, because to me, trucking, it's all about the variety and it's neat to haul different things and go different places that are,
Right.
in my world, it's, I hauled cattle to, like I hauled some cattle down to the Diesel brothers that we were going to haul out onto an island eventually. And it was like, that was cool. So, rather than just like, yeah, I got another load of, whatever going wherever. There's probably a lot to this question, but how do you find yourself one day cruising down I-80 headed west in a tricked out 389 pulling a couple NASCARs?
It's fun. It is. It's people look at you kind of different. You see the little kids. You see them. If you're in a regular truck, I hauled freight for years. Hauled produce. I've hauled everything, oversized stuff.
Okay.
But when it's kind of different when you're in something that big or that popular. A lot more people take notice to you. A lot of people, depends on what team you're at. I mean, sometimes you don't want to get noticed because they don't like that person.
I mean, they are rolling billboards, right? We paste our sponsors as big as we can on them. So
That's true.
Yeah.
we know, like, the other crazy thing I'll say is, because I have to sit in these meetings when we get yelled at, but if Chris decides to go too fast somewhere, well, people just know to look up the number and call the race shop and tell on him.
HR don't like me too well. Down here, so. True story.
I can't imagine you.
Chris,
speed.
do you ever get people that think you're the famous one?
Yeah,
driving
you
that
do.
Truck? Do you ever play off of that?
I
I'm
do.
going to give you an example. When I was in undergrad college, I had a guy in my class who had at some point in his life become really good friends with Mark Hoppus, who was the bass player for the band Blink-182. And so he started off, I think, as his caddy at a golf course, and then he just ended up being buddies with him, and he got taken on tour sometimes as Mark Hoppus's buddy on tour. But he would end up taking vehicles for the band to get car washed. And he started telling people that he was, the drummer in the band. And he said he was surprised at how much free stuff that he got because of that. I'm just wondering if you pull into that truck stop, someone thinks you're someone famous, if you're getting free corn dogs or anything.
Yeah. Well, you pull in a lot of them, and they say, "Is Dell in there with you?" I said, "Yeah, he's in the lounge. He's resting." They never ride it. And he's up there. I said, "Yeah, he's asleep." I said, "He don't want to be bothered." So you kind of just laugh at it, just go on.
I love it. Oh, I love that, man. Yeah, you got to roll with it when you get the chance.
You got to once in a while.
You got to roll with it. I've got a story about rolling with it once, and it'll have to be shared another time. But it was my most embarrassing moment of my life. Came from trying to roll with it once when someone thought I was someone I wasn't, and I ended up getting caught in the midst of it.
Yeah, you know what? Now you got to tell it.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
You want to hear this trucking story, Chris?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so I'm hauling cattle back and forth to Nebraska. It's just what we do. Just boom, 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 boom. Stop in Belfouche, South Dakota. They just created this beautiful, new, nice truck stop. This is probably 6 years ago. This thing is great. Unlimited hot water, pretty good food, nice attendance, quality diesel coming from the Cenex company. Just, okay? That kind of paint a picture for you, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Very clear.
Yeah. So I wheel in there one day, and I'm kind of in a hurry. And as I'm going through the truck stop, you have to come in the front doors, go by the registers, and through like a little food court they have, because they have a Subway and a Chester's Chicken or something. And then you go through there to the bathroom. And I don't think I was having any kind of bathroom emergencies, but I was just in a hurry in general. So as I'm working my way through there, there's these three people sitting at a table. There's this big old boy from South Dakota, older, had this beautiful white beard that kind of made him look like a lion. It just kind of framed his face. And then he had this old buddy with him that had like these Civil War chops, like these, Civil War general mutton chop sideburns. And then this old gal too that was with him. And they're like just having their morning coffee. Well, at this time in my bearding life, I was kind of making it a point, if I saw someone else with a really dope beard, I would say, hey, let's take a picture of, the beard together, like a together beard picture. I know it's weird, but anyway, that's what I was doing at the time. So don't laugh at me. So
everyone's early Instagram is cringy.
Yes.
There's Jackson's early cringy Instagram.
Totally. 100%. So you guys, I look up and I see this guy, and I'm kind of debating in my head, like, how do you approach him without it being really weird? So as I look up and I'm just about to say, hey, let's take a picture together, stranger, he beats me to the punch, and he's like, hey man, how you been? And I'm like, is he really friendly, or so I'm like, I'm just rolling with him. I'm like, hey, oh man, I've been great. So he just starts going on, asking me all these questions about, where are you living now? And what are you doing for a living? And I'm like, it became clear pretty fast that I was not whoever he thought I was. But he thought that we knew each other because I was about to say hi to him at the same time he noticed me. So I kind of led him to believe maybe I am this person he thinks I am, if that makes sense. So he starts going on, and usually when this happens, you know how it is when someone mistakes you for somebody, it's really awkward when you correct them. You're like, I'm actually, so-and-so. And they're like, oh, sorry, you look just like, it's just really uncomfortable, right? So I'm just trying to like help this old guy out and not make him feel awkward, senior citizen stuff. And so I'm getting into, we start getting pretty deep. Like I'm like 2 or 3 minutes standing there talking to these folks. And anyway, I'm starting to get nervous because I'm like, my cover's going to get blown here soon. There's only so long I can say generic, meaningless answers to their specific questions. And so I'm like, but I'm still in it. I'm like, I've got to get my picture. So I'm like, hey, why don't we, let's get a picture together real quick before I leave. And this was my mistake. I should have just bailed, but I wanted the picture. So I give my phone to the gal, and she takes a picture of me and Big Bob, and I've got it. And I'm like, okay, it's in the bag. And he's like, hold on. I want a picture with you too. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be a problem because he's going to show his picture to somebody, and they're going to be like, that's not, Rick or whoever he thinks that I am. So I'm like, so he proceeds, and he's a good old boy, so he's wearing bib, denim bib overalls, and he proceeds to pull a tablet out of this custom built stitched front pocket that he had cut into his things. He's pulling this tablet out. It's like, just keeps pulling it out. Full size, biggest thing that money could buy back then.
And hold on, we are talking about the tablet he's pulling out.
The tablet.
Just a big full size pulling out of his the tablet.
The tablet. So he, and he's that age where he doesn't really understand how to work it. So he's like opening all these random apps and swiping, and so he's like, my camera's in here somewhere, and he's like on his web browser, and I'm like, oh, camera's there. So the camera opens, and then he clicks into his photos, all his family photos. 5 minutes into this, probably now at this point. So he starts swiping through, thinking that if he swipes through enough family photos, the camera's going to open up. Of course, we all know that's not how it works, but that's what he's trying to do. So as he starts going through, he's like, oh, here's old Betty Lou, my daughter. You remember Betty Lou, don't you? And I'm like, I do. What a beautiful daughter she is, Bob. At this point, like I say, there's no way I'm all in. I'm way too deep to get out of it. So he's like, oh, and here, look, she had a baby. Starts showing me the baby pictures of Betty Lou. And I'm starting to sweat a little at this point. I'm like, hey, oh, here's your camera. I click on it for him. So we take a picture together. You know, the old gal holds up the tablet and takes the picture. And I'm like, it's great to see you guys. Hope everything's well. I'm going to use the bathroom. I got to get back on the road, you know. So I go and I use the bathroom. I come back out and I realize that I have to go back by them one last time in order to get free. So I put like my walk in full hyperdrive mode, you know, just rocking and rolling, grab a gear and go. And I get by him, give him a quick nod, and I'm scooting, man. I'm scooting right through the candy aisle, along the coolers, by the register, and I'm just reaching for the door, like that. And they go, hey, hold on. They yell across the store to me, and I'm like, I was this close. So I like turn around, and I'm like, yeah. Hey, see ya. Good to see you guys. I try to turn back around again. They're like, no, wait. And they go, we were all, and they yell this across the store. We were just sitting here while you were in the bathroom thinking. We just can't remember. What was your name again? And I'm like, oh. And see, here's the thing. I literally could have said any name. Just throw it out there. And they would have been like, oh, yeah, okay, good to see you. And I was gone. But my mind was just like, ha, 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 ha. You've been caught. And my brain's just left me. So I start walking back towards them. And I'm like, my name. Well, that's a good question. So I'm like, just like, please, something happen. Something occur. Something come to my mind. Nothing. So I get over to their table. And they're starting to give me funny looks by now because I've walked all the way back across the store being like, oh, hey, ha. And I look up at them and I'm like, you guys, I have to apologize. I don't have a clue who any of you are. I don't know any of you. I've never met any of you in my entire life. And they just gave me the look like, who do you think you are? You know, I was just like, I'm sorry. I had a good chat. Give your daughter my best. Maybe I'll meet her someday. I got to get out of it. And then I just turned and booked it. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life where I just was like, never again will I pretend that I'm somebody else. So don't ever try to act like you're Dale Jr. because it will only cause problems. Happen.
Hey, Chris, who do you think I get mistaken for a lot, Chris, if you had to guess?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on.
Jackson.
No.
That ain't it.
No, I mean like a really handsome celebrity.
Oh, burn.
I was hoping you'd put out a big handsome celebrity answer. But I guess
gonna say, what's that wrestler? Back in the day? His name Brett.
Brett Michaels. He was like the lover boy.
Yeah.
Yes. Man, I remember Brett Michaels back when he was with the Rockers. Did you ever see him? He was in the tag team Rockers?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, man. I've never got that one before. Never got that one. I don't get any. I was just playing with you.
He does get mistaken. A lot of people around here. I actually get mistaken for you a lot when I'm around here. People are like, hey, Luke. And I'm like, I'm not Luke. Anyway.
They usually say, hey, Luke, did you lose some muscle mass? It's usually what they...
And it's usually, Luke, you been on the Twinkies? Been eating a lot of corn dogs out of the hot case there while you're trucking?
Hot dog roller. Yeah.
The roller dog.
So Chris, how old are you?
50. I just turned 50 in July.
50. Come on.
50.
Very good. By the way, you guys, if you're wondering what like the quintessential perfect CB voice is, it's what you're hearing out of Chris's throat. It is that Southern, you got that breaker 1-9, boys. Come on, I got a license to fly.
Radio.
Can you give us just a little something? Just
breaker 1-9.
Oh, dude, come on back, Chris. I got you. My ears are on. Come on.
It roar.
See it, you guys. That's what it is. Oh man.
I know.
Okay, so you're
practicing a long time.
Just been waiting for that.
Yeah.
Have you ever encountered in the night some of the guys from down south that get their CBs like tuned up and they're like,
And
You know
then
what
the
I'm
beep
talking
comes
about?
after that. Then the Roger beep comes after that.
I just whenever that happens now, I used to be like, sir, I don't understand what you're trying to communicate to me.
Yeah.
But now I just get on, I stick the CB about halfway down my throat, and I'm like, Ernie Barney. Just hit it right back.
And then the echo kills me.
The echo. So you guys, what we're talking about, Chris and I, is these. You can take your CB and have them tuned up by these shops, and they can add all these crazy, basically these like digital effects to your CB. And one of the favorites is the echo. So they're like, hello, 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 hello. I don't even know why it's out there. I don't even understand the purpose of it.
I don't know either.
It's just anyway, make you seem big and bad.
It does.
So, Chris, what's your beginnings? I'm always curious about, especially with like you are like just a good old boy, like the best.
I am.
You are 100%. You're the cook. You're slinging fuel cans. You're grabbing gears. I understand why Taylor holds you in such a high regard. So what's your roots here in trucking? My roots were, running around with old man Rooster from a young age.
Right.
And I'm curious, growing up where you did.
Well, my grandfather drove a truck. Well, he mainly farmed, but hauled pulpwood. And then my dad started driving. I'm the youngest of four. I got one older brother and two sisters. Well, I was 7 years old when my mom finally let me go with my dad, and that was over. That's all it took.
That was just one trip and you were hooked?
One trip, and I'm still doing it. And that's been years ago. My dad's still alive, my mom's still alive, and he's taught me everything. He's a good man. I'm a old school guy. Love cab overs. I mean, if I could drive one right now, I'd be doing it.
Oh, Chris, you need to
I
come
love
out
them.
and visit.
Oh, I've seen pictures, and I want to drive every one of them 2 or 3 times.
It's like my addiction. I don't do anything. I don't hunt. I'm all for hunting, but I don't hunt. I don't fish. I do nothing but I love cab over trucks.
I love cab overs. I got one. Actually, my father-in-law, he's got a 78 Freightliner.
78.
Short. I mean, it's a short wheelbase. 400 comes in it. I then took pictures. I said, "That's my truck." I said, "I'm taking that truck when you're going, old man."
Dude, you got it.
Yeah. So I want to restore it. I do want to restore it and get it back on the road.
Yeah. So I've got a 79 that I picked up a few years ago that had been parked on the side of the road near here. As long as I can remember, it was been parked on the side of the road. And a few years ago, I went and knocked on the guy's door, and he sold it to me just like, "Yep, here you go." So you have a 78. I've got a 79. We can get Taylor to talk these guys into letting us pull some race trailers. We could have a back in time tour.
And that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be dope?
Awesome. It would.
Can you imagine rolling into the track with those babies?
Look at us like, what is going on?
What is wrong with you guys? Oh man, goodness. So let's see. You said you said it was your grandpa that hauled pulpwood.
Yeah. He
Okay.
farmed, and on the side he'd haul pulpwood. So that's
Okay.
where I think my dad started the whole driving part.
Okay. And then what did your dad kind of haul primarily?
Produce. He produced for 30 years.
Okay.
About it. Yeah.
And what was this? You have to forgive me. Was this 78 his produce?
No, my wife's dad.
Wife's dad. Okay. So you got trucking on both sides.
Both sides.
Dude.
Both sides.
Dude, you're like
Oh, man.
you literally bred to haul, man.
I love it. I do. I love it. It gets on your nerves sometimes, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't. I mean, I was in school. Where you going to college? I said, I don't need college. What I'm going to do? I don't need it.
Dude, you're so right. The school of.
When I turned 21, day of my birthday, I went and got my CDL driver's license.
Great.
And being you don't have experience or verifiable experience, you don't get a job.
Dude,
So it took me 1 month, and I started going to California.
after 1 month.
Yep.
Dude, if you're out there listening, you may not quite understand. I'm trying to think how to. It'd be like doing root canals like day 2 of dental school, year 1, day 2, and they're like, "Here, do a root canal." That's kind of what Chris is talking about by going to California.
Hold on, back up. I think the statute of limitations apply. Chris, what age did you drive the truck first?
I was 13.
Oh, nice.
I actually, I used to bug my dad so bad. He was, at the time was driving a 76, 77 Pete.
Okay.
Single cab. Yeah, it was a single sleeper.
Yep.
And I used to bug him. So one day we was on Interstate 81 coming out of Virginia. He pulls the truck over. He says, "Get over here." I couldn't even match the truck in my check. My leg was shaking so bad. And from that day on, I've been driving.
Dude, I love hearing that emotion, because I remember when Rooster did that to me. I'd never been so excited, never wanted something so bad, but when the time came, it was like, oh, no, me?
He's scared. But, yeah, he stayed on me, and don't grind gears. Because he's going to reach across that doghouse. He's going to hit you.
Oh, man.
You get so frustrated and today you just don't. People don't know how to drive a straight drive anything.
Right. Well, it seems like I found today, maybe you've noticed this too, but I feel like nobody wants their kids to drive, so they've like purposefully been like, "No, I'm not teaching you how to drive my truck, because then you'll truck."
Yeah.
You know,
that's what my dad said. He said, your mom should never let you go. But now he's proud of me. He's happy.
Yeah.
You know, this is my 30th year driving.
Well, who would have, and Chris, who would have thought, like, 25, 30 years ago, who would have thought that trucking would be quite what it's become today as far as the need for it nationwide? Yeah. It's just,
it's unbelievable. It's and nobody wants to work these days, and nobody really wants to drive. I don't know. It's they're all automatics now. I don't claim that too good.
Yeah, I'm still yet to drive an automatic.
I haven't either. I haven't.
No. It's weird. And some of the guys are like, "No, it's pretty nice," and I'm like,
I've heard that.
Yeah, a lot of things are nice. Doesn't mean you should be doing them.
I believe you. You have fun with it.
Right. Oh, you got to mess with guys for sure.
I mean, when you can drive in a comfortable, smooth, unbumpy, ungeared truck, why would you do that when you can go in a cab over and just take a beating when you're driving, grinding through gears?
Exactly. Oh, I'd love it. I haven't driven a cab over in years.
I was just going to ask, when's the last time? Do you remember the last time you actually like drove a cab over on the road?
I'm gonna probably say 94 or 5.
Okay, that seems like that's kind of when they were really starting to phase out.
It was, yeah.
Huh. So you drove at 13. The day you could get your license, you got it, and then if you were running to California, you were hauling produce. Was that with your dad?
No, it was just a company right above the house, about 30 miles north up in the mountains of North Carolina, in Sparta, North Carolina.
Sparta. I like the way you say that. Sparta.
Sparta. You got a southern boy.
Do we sound like we have a Montana accent? Is that a thing?
Oh, I don't think you do, no.
Okay.
Which I don't know what Montana people talk about. I've only been through there once.
Oh man!
That's when you dropped Taylor off. That's the only time you've been through.
That's the first time.
Huh.
It's beautiful country. Lord, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we switched out. I woke up. I took a nap. We're coming through Idaho, and then it was your shift to drive, and I think it was in Butte.
Yeah.
And then you and I rolled from Butte to Billings, just looking at everything.
It's amazing country out there.
Spotting cows and looking at ranches and all that fun stuff.
He's like a history teacher. Taylor is. He's like a.
Is he?
I said, "What is that over there?" He said, "Oh, I'll tell you exactly what that is." Because he's knowledgeable. He's a very knowledgeable person.
Had you not seen a cow before? So he said, "What's that over there?" He said, "That's actually a cow." You hadn't seen those
That's 2 cows, but
Oh, okay.
some monument is out there. The chimney, the what was that chimney?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, there's some tall like chimney type thing out there.
By knowledge, it means I can run Google very fast as we drive.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so I want to get to how you morphed into NASCAR still. So you gained experience. You did the reefer deal. You said you've heavy hauled, done some heavy hauling as well.
I've done some heavy haul for about 5-6 years. Hauled a lot of logging equipment. That was the main thing.
Okay, I was going to ask. Tell everybody what is heavy haul. We in the trucking world we're used to it, but what is heavy haul?
Heavy haul is heavy loads, wide loads, anything over 80,000 pounds, anything over 8'6", whatever it is now. The widest thing I think was like 13 foot, and the most gross I've ever weighed was 140.
Ooh, that's a load.
That's yeah. Yeah, it was a feller, but it was called a feller.
I was just going to say, was it a big feller buncher going into the woods?
It was. Yes, it was. Took it up to Pennsylvania.
Oh man.
Yep.
Okay.
So I had a buddy of mine. He called me up, and he was working NASCAR racing experience. Is what this deal was. He said, and I went to school with this guy my whole life. He said, "Chris, you like to fly out to Chicago and pick up a truck and bring it back?" I said, "Yeah, I'm home. Yeah, sure." So that's in 2010, 11, and that's when it started. That day there.
That was the beginning, huh?
That was the beginning. Flying to Chicago to pick up a race hauler.
I think that's what's hard about being a NASCAR hauler driver is there's the driving portion, but there's so much extra curricular that goes along with the job or extra. I mean, you drive to the track and you get out and work. So the way people get into it really is, we'll take other truck drivers' recommendations of word of mouth of like, hey, that guy's a good trucker, but he's also a hard worker. We'll give him a shot. Like I wouldn't say there's any really special criteria. You just got to be able to fit in, get in. I mean, our whole schedule is dictated by a sanctioning body, which can change at any moment. They got to be able to flex with the weather, run together, get along with people, work on a team, and be social. I mean, that's a big thing to me is everybody's got to get along.
Yeah.
Chris, to me, his biggest advantage is he's a great trucker, but he's an even better cook. And I fully believe that, I don't work good on an empty stomach, and we work long days at the track. And, we eat steak on Sundays. Steak on Saturdays. We eat steak on race day because I don't raise chickens or pigs. But people got good to perform good. And Chris can cook a steak with the best of them and keeps us fed and, is working the whole time. So as far as what we look for, as far as finding hauler drivers, is just the people that are willing to go the extra mile and be part of something cool.
Uh-huh. That was the biggest surprise to me, Taylor, when you told me that you're like, yeah, Chris helps, shuttle fuel cans, and like he's like doing the deal. I had no idea. I just assumed, they got these retired type, truckers that just kind of mosey around the country.
Yeah, that's what you'll pull up to a truck stop and, how do you get a job like that? And I was, hold on, I'll give you the keys. And they say, what do you do? I said, I just drive the truck to the hauler, and then I go to the hotel for the rest of the time, which is not even true.
Not quite. So when you're cooking, Chris, what's you must be kind of a barbecuing type.
Yes, grill master. Grill master.
You pack something in the race trailer along with you, or what?
Yeah, we got a refrigerator. It's not quite the size of a household refrigerator, but and then if I've got some more, I'll take a cooler, put the meat in it. But I was raised, my mom and grandma owned country restaurants back when I was growing up, so you kind of learn how to cook, sitting there watching them and helping them out, and so yeah, I learned to cook in my days.
That's good. Well, I tell you,
being humble. There's people that can cook a hot dog, and then there's people that plan. Chris goes to the grocery store before we leave, plans out full meals, and is a good cook.
Yeah.
And there's a reason people come to our truck to eat.
They do that. Yeah.
Does every driver have kind of a special, like me, I can put down. I can put a lot of corn dogs down. That's kind of do a lot of the hauler drivers have a thing that they bring along, or are you kind of unique?
Well, they used to. Used to a lot of teams, truck drivers would cook, but since the COVID, hit, everybody backed off of that.
Uh-huh.
it's like here at Junior Motorsports, the truck drivers don't have to cook, but my crew chief says I have to cook, so I still.
So Taylor, he was just telling us, wasn't he saying something about like I'm like real easy and I don't like to be a hardcore dude, and now here we're learning that he's like, no, Chris, you're cooking or you're going home.
I don't mind. I love doing it actually, kind of. I do enjoy cooking. It's I guess it relaxes me, so to speak.
Yeah,
Kind of gets your mind away from what's going on and chills you out a little bit.
yeah. Oh, totally. You got to have something like that when you're trucking. In the cow hauling world, you know what it is for us.
No.
After we finish, hauling a load, we get to go to the washout.
Washout.
And you got to get a big old fire hose, and you get sitting there for about an hour, and while you're spraying, it's so loud you can't hear anything but your thoughts in your brain. So that's kind of our moment to, So every time you're cooking steaks for Taylor, I want you to think somewhere in the United States, Jackson is out there fire hosing out, kind of doing the same.
Mm-hmm. I put a smile on my face.
Oh man, I have a question about hauler trucks for the race haulers. And your guys is a little different. I don't know if this is across the board, but I see a lot of hauler trucks that are not like, classic trucks. I see a lot of like Aerodyne, whatever, pulling these trailers sometimes.
Yeah.
What is that? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, you are. I guess it would be more of the what you call the back runners or the lower budget type teams, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I get it. Trucking's expensive.
Yeah.
In the racing industry, you kind of got two companies. You got a race team and you got trucking company.
Uh-huh.
So they're more worried about making sure the car's right, spending more of their money on the car than they are the truck.
Yeah.
So that's really more little offbeat trucks than you do the higher class, I guess, so to speak, race team.
Are all the NASCAR haulers classic trucks? Do you know?
I would say 75%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was at we had a monster truck show come through, and I was like, oh, monster trucks. Like, you probably should have like some beast blacked out hauler truck. And it was like a Freightliner Cascadia. And I have a Cascadia, so.
And they're good trucks. They're good riding trucks. We had them before we got these Pete's.
Uh-huh.
And people, and I still don't believe it, but they say it gets better fuel mileage, but I don't think a mile an hour per gallon considers to me. It does.
Oh, buddy, you're talking. You're talking.
You're talking
Easy.
wrong.
Yep, no, I know. I've been there. I'm on the truck. I just don't see it. The aerodynamic.
Jackson gets a new boat every year based off his fuel savings
Does
from
he?
his mile per gallon.
That's why I switched. I take my $40,000 a year that I save from my mile per gallon. I get a mile and a half.
You don't
And
say that.
And I promise. You drive you get a mile and a half per gallon better driving 125, 150,000 miles a year.
Just that much.
You get a $40,000 bill when fuel's high. Fuel's like dirt cheap.
I'm gonna go get a
Then-
Cascade.
Oh yeah.
So here's what I tell people. They're like, you driving them Aerodynes, boy. I'll show you what a real man is. And I'm like, wait. Before you do that, let me tell you what I do with my savings. And I always tease that, $30,000 to $40,000 a year will
That's
buy
the year
you.
whole fleet.
No, that's just my truck.
That's one.
That's one truck. Dude, you do the math. Have old T-Dog run some numbers for you there with his engineering mind.
Also.
So I tell everyone, I'm like, I buy a new cab over every year. That's why I got this horrible addiction. I take my fuel savings, get a boat, for company parties, or get another cab over Pete, or
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's the funny thing. I feel like race hauler trucks should not be aerodynamic. I'm like, these guys are all about fuel and fire. I'm like, if anybody should be driving a 3 mile per gallon rig, It's a race car. Like, you know what I mean?
I do.
Our Dale's a lot like us. That he loves nostalgia, right? He's got all these cool old cars. He doesn't have like Ferraris and stuff. He's got the hot rods, the muscle cars, and the trucks. So when you look down the line, you know, I've sent you a picture of the line. I think we were at Bristol, and I sent Jax a picture because it just looked cool. We're on the end, and here's our 4 flat tops, and everybody else has got their fancy Cascadias, whatever. There's people that notice that. They're like, that screams Dale Jr. I mean, we are a brand. We represent him. They're all painted the same. They're all painted the same base scheme. They're all flat, a lot of chrome. It's cool. It's a cool fleet.
Oh yeah.
No, I love it. So have you ever got to haul livestock?
No.
Is that kind of the one?
I
that
used
got
to have
away?
horses. Now I've had horses and just in a regular horse trailer, but never big.
Uh-huh.
I want to.
Do you remember, dude?
I heard it was different.
Chris, I've got you anytime you want.
I
Just
told my wife, I said, we're going out there one winter. We're going out there after the season's over.
can you imagine? I'm just trying to imagine because I've got a couple cab overs we could run. I'm just imagining the YouTube gold that we could create, taking
I'm
2
ready.
cab overs and
You're
hauling.
man.
Oh, Taylor, you could come out and be like our spotter or our historian / cameraman.
Just be bouncing in the back bunk.
Oh,
When Chris gets to Montana in the winter, it's going to be like that scene from Cool Runnings, which was the Jamaican bobsled team, when the doors open at the airport in Calgary, and Senka puts on every piece of clothing he has, including his suitcase. That's why Leah and I did the honeymoon in Montana in June.
in June.
And we still got snowed on in Glacier, so yeah.
Oh, you guys know what the low temperature is here on? Is it Tuesday night?
I think it's Tuesday night.
Tuesday night here, right here, 27 below zero air temperature.
The coldest I've ever been was minus 25. That was in Duluth, Minnesota, I think it was.
Dude, that's cold, man.
Yeah,
It's cold.
It's gonna get chilly. Usually we don't get this cold till in January, February,
Yeah,
but we're starting early this year.
yeah.
Could be a long winter.
Long.
Well, any other little nuggets you want to throw out there, Chris? Any?
No, not right now.
Well-
I have to start writing it down so we can have another podcast and
Dude,
talk more.
we'll definitely have you back, and we really do need to get together and do some cab over trucking.
We're going to. I won't do so bad. That'd be, yes. I love Heavy D's Black Ford 9000 too.
Yeah. Have you ever rode in one of those Ford
Yeah, my,
9000?
yes, my dad had one.
He did.
And we back here, we always called them the two-story because
Yeah,
they're
so-
so tall.
Yeah, okay. And this was new to me when he brought that up and I started reading people's comments about that truck. I didn't know that they referred to it as, was it the Edsel? Is that
The Edsel?
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
that?
That's a Ford Edsel.
Edsel Ford was-
Ford
yeah.
Edsel.
Oh, that was like the Edsel 2 stories because I saw that on some of the the Edsel. The kicker for that truck was that it has 4 airbags on the cab.
On the cab. That's what I was getting ready to say. It's, I guess, one of the first because when you ride in it, I mean, you even climbing up in it, it feels like you're just bringing the door down to you. Just place you back up.
Like a cartoon where it just kind of leans over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I love it. I seen that one, that black one he had, and I fell in love with that thing.
Yeah, I think he picked those up. I want to say like Ohio or Kentucky, somewhere out there. Guy sold him 2 of them. Kind of one as a parts or finish it kind of a rig, and then the one that was going. I keep teasing him when he calls. We're due for some more YouTube content, and he'll call. Come on down. And I say, when's that big Ford ready? I'll bring my cab over down, but I want to take your cab over out one of these runs because it's got.
Now, don't get me
got
wrong. Now, I love your Pete. Now your Pete's awesome. It's a nice truck, very nice truck.
Appreciate that, Chris. That means a lot coming from you, man. So, yeah, that's kind of fun doing that stuff. But he's you should see what he's kind of keeping it hidden. Heavy D. He's got whenever he decides to show everybody, he's doing some crazy. I'll just tell you, because whatever.
On a podcast for the whole world?
For the whole world.
All right.
So they cut off, it was stretched to like it was the longest truck I'd ever
Long.
seen.
It was long.
And they ended up cutting that off, and they put a tri-drive on it, like a true tri-drive.
Yeah.
We were going to do a lift axle on it, but decided let's just, make it a tri.
So it stays on the ground constantly.
Right, all three down like his T800.
Yep.
And then he's built the most crazy looking transformer crossbreed bumper, custom bumper for the front of that thing that you've ever seen. I mean, it looks like something right out of Transformers on the front of that. And it's cool. I think a lot of purists are going to be like, what did you do? But if you just realize, hey man, it's heavy D, what do you expect? Like, he can't just put a bumper on it. So
right.
When you see it, you'll be like, oh man, that baby's ready to eat some dogs. Yeah. So that'll be cool. But
isn't it blue? I was trying to explain to him when I came back. Is it blue too? That's got no doghouse in it. It's a flat floor. Don't you have a flat floor cab over that's super rare?
Yeah, that's what I just bought with last year's fuel savings. I found.
I'm not going to live that one down.
Chris, you'll never live that down. My favorite comment that people give me all the time, they're like, "It's about miles per gallon, not miles per gallon." And I always just say, "Get you a girl that can do both, because you can have smiles and miles." Anyway, so yeah, I grew up driving. What would you say you grew up driving? Did you have like a truck of your childhood that you kind of consider like that's the one? Or did they kind of go, see my dad bought one truck.
My neighbor's truck actually would be the one, and you're going to probably laugh. And I'll tell you the reason why I love it so much is like a 75 GMC Astro.
Oh, cool.
The big.
They call them the fish bowls, didn't they? Because of the huge windows.
30-foot wide windshield.
Yeah.
But the reason I loved it so much is my neighbor had the air starter on it.
Oh.
And I could be in my bedroom. And when he cranked that thing up, I was out the door. Out the door. Yeah. I don't know if they're one of the ugliest trucks, but it's just something about, I guess, that air starter is one that got me.
Yeah. Just
Just to hear it, because it would scare you.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah. So out.
So growing up for me, Dad bought a 1980 Freightliner cab over, brand new, day one, and he had it until the year 2000. So he had it for 20 years straight. I mean, steel wheels. I mean, you'd have to beg him to put one chrome lug nut cover on, and no, them things are just in the way.
My dad's the same way.
Was he?
Yeah.
Which leads to an interesting point. I'll just say this. This can be a subject of another podcast at another time, but everyone always talks about like all chromed out, decked out trucks. Or like, this is old school. And I'm like, hold on. All the old school guys I know were like total utilitarian. Like, I removed my fuel tank to make my truck lighter so I could haul more weight. I have one stack out my truck, like very few old school dudes had the decked out rigs, but that was Bruce, and that was your dad too, huh?
My dad too, right there.
I love it.
I love it.
So, but the main truck in 2000, Dad moved into he bought a 1991 International cab over condo with a setback front axle, like the old Schneider trucks and stuff that they were running.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And JB Hunt. But it had a big cam 4. They bored it out to a 450. It was kind of a beast. But that's what I really drove. That's the one that I learned to be a trucker in.
Right.
And so I had been searching for kind of an updated version of one. And for 2 years, International made that same truck, but they figured out a way to remove the doghouse between the seats. So it's essentially a flat floor cab over. Have you heard of these?
I'm not.
Dude,
I don't think.
It's like, what? It's like
I'm sitting my mind sitting here. I can't wrap my head around it.
You can't even wrap your mind. So you just park and you just turn around and walk into the bunk. They lower the engine in a way that you can walk back. I mean, it's like a 2-inch raised bump, and that's it. So So I found one. I found a one owner. It's a 9800 International cab over from an old fella that he bought it brand new when he was 60 years old in 1999, and he just sold it this last year. And so I scooped that baby up, lickety split. It's got a big N14 Cummins.
Oh yeah.
Lots of power, really good fuel mileage, very aerodynamic, and then the flat floor. So that's kind of my project. That's going to become my cattle hauler for next year. I want to get it all up and going, and I'm going to just 1000% aerodynamic, just blow that thing. I'm going to put like the moon covers on the wheels, and I mean I'm going to make it like.
Yeah, just that's to cover the wheels. Yeah,
dude, it's gonna be so. And it's the wheelbase on it. It's like front. It literally has the wheelbase of a crew cab Ford pickup. Like you park it next to Dad's pickup, and they're the same wheelbase. It's crazy. Yeah. But we're gonna make that baby. So when everyone looks at it, they're just gonna be like, "Who is this clown hauling cows with this truck?"
It's one fuel tank.
Oh, but yeah, right. Oh man, well, I suppose it's probably time to wrap this baby up. But
well, thanks guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us,
dude. And Chris, I'm serious. You have a standing invitation whenever.
I am seriously taking you up on it
when the time comes.
Make sure you show up on a Sunday when they're doing family barbecue.
Oh yeah,
because we have the fire. We do a fire every Sunday, through the spring and summer. Mm-hmm. And then we'll hook the cab overs up.
We'll keep it in touch, that's for sure.
Awesome, man.
All right.
You want to take us out?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm not good at it. It's your thing.
You can Steady at the Wheel Podcast on Instagram. Steady at the Wheel Podcast at gmail.com. Jackson's YouTube.
Yeah, my YouTube's Wild Wild West. And then my Instagram is at Shumanush. So, and you can look up, Taylor, what's your Instagram handle? You probably...
Yeah, my Instagram is just Taylor C. Moyer.
Taylor C. Moyer. And Chris, are you on Instagram?
No social media. I don't.
That's okay. I'm not even... That's a good thing.
Chris,
probably.
you need to get started. You need to get started. You need the main reason you need to get started is because it takes a couple years to get all those real cringy taking photos with someone with a beard out of the way. So the sooner you get started on that, the sooner you'll have something that's passable.
Got you.
All right. Well, you guys, it's been great. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.